release will have its own plan. In the plan, it will let you know what's in scope of the release. It will outline what deliverables are required to deliver the release successfully. It will talk about what the impacted REC products are, REC systems, and also REC provider systems as well. It'll also let you know what stakeholders are impacted and a very high level view of what those impacts are. It will give you a plan for delivery right through to the implementation date. That will include the pre-release and release information. It will also include the stakeholder communication and engagement, so you know exactly what's happening and when you expect to find information. It'll also include anything around training and guidance. So, for example, if user guides are being updated and when they will be published. So this particular release plan covers all of the pre-release information and also information around the REC provider systems that are impacted, which relates to R20. To find the release plan, you can go onto the REC portal. When you first log in, you'll be taken to your dashboard page. On the right-hand side of that page, you will have a green box called Hyperlinks. Within that box, you have a link to REC documents. When you go into the REC documents page, you will see some tiles at the bottom. You want the REC release information tile. When you click on that, that will take you through to the upcoming REC releases. So right now in the REC release information page, you will see the release plan for the January release. You will see the pre-release information and the slides for this presentation. And then later next week, you will see the video for this presentation and also the FAQs. At implementation date, it will also include links to release information. That includes any REC products that have been updated. Once a release has been implemented, about a week later, they will go into the archived release section. So all the information will still be available to you, but it will be in the archived page, which you can access from the upcoming REC release pages. So the January 2022 REC release, in scope, we have two change proposals. We have R12, which is the housekeeping amendments to REC version 2, and we have R20, which is the ETOS report dissemination. So R12 is updating REC products. So some change proposals were implemented in previous codes, and it has been identified that not all of those changes implemented by other codes were reflected in the REC version 2 drafting. So what this change proposal is doing, making sure that all of the REC products that are relevant match how the industry is operating. So what that means for you as stakeholders of the REC, there is no direct impacts. It really is just reflecting how you are working today. The information relating to all of the products that are impacted, you've got mostly amended products, and you have 2 new REC products as well. They are available via the pre-release information on EMAR, but also you can also will be able to see a high-level view of the impacted products in the release plan. Detailed information on the impacts or the changes to those REC products you will find in the final change report, which is accessible via the REC portal on the change and release page. As of the 31st of January, all of the REC products will be live in the REC portal. We also have R20, which is the ETOS report dissemination. This is where the energy theft tip-off service provider is replacing the web portal that you guys use today with an encrypted email service. The email service that they are moving to is the Transport Layer Security Service, more commonly known as TLS. It is something that they are using currently in an operational environment, so they know that it works successfully. The change that R20 will bring will impact gas transporters, distribution network operators and energy suppliers. How you work today is that you have nominated an email address that the energy theft tip-off service provider will email to say you have a report available. You would then log into the portal to have a look at the report, which you would do within 10 working days, which is your obligated SLA. When you log into that portal, that is your date stamp to say that you have logged in within the required time frame, and then you carry out the necessary actions. With the new way of working, you will be sent an email, but there will be no need to log into the portal. The email itself will contain the ETOS report. You will have all been asked to provide a group email address for the ETOS service provider to allocate into their system. That's the email address that they will use to send you your ETOS reports. The report itself is in exactly the same format as you see it today. So when you log into the portal, you get a PDF of the report. It's that PDF document that is going to be emailed to you. When you open the report, you still have your 10 working day SLA to open. But when you open the email, you will get a read receipt. You need to click on that read receipt to register that you have opened it within the required timescale. That's your timestamp. And then you go on to carry on as you would today, carry out the necessary actions in accordance with condition 12A. So the group email addresses needed to be provided to the ETOS service provider by the 7th of January to be included in testing. Over the last couple of days, they have been doing testing. Testing has been going well. If you haven't provided your group email address, you have missed the window to do testing. However, there is still the opportunity to put in your email address to us in preparation for the 31st of January. To do that, if you just raise a service desk inquiry, we can ensure that the ETOS service provider gets the information needed and get you set up ready for the 31st of January. So the web portal itself will be decommissioned. It's actually going to be coming out of service on the 14th of February by end of day. So any historical reports that you have in that portal that you need or want to download, you will need to download it before that date. Any reports that you have been sent since the 17th of February will also be in that portal. So you again will need to look at those reports and download them prior to the 14th of February. Any reports that are unopened as of the 31st of January that were sent on the 17th of January or 17th of January or afterwards, you will need to, what we will do, is make sure that the report is sent to you so that you have that by your group email address. But that is only for reports that are unopened as of the 31st of January. What we're going to do now is give you a demonstration on the EMAR and the pre-release information. It is slightly different to how it was viewed in the November release. Some improvements have been made, which I'm sure you guys will be pleased with. So I'm going to pass you over to my colleague Michael, who is going to give you a demonstration via the presentation, and then go into a live demonstration.
Thank you very much, Fiona. So good afternoon. My name is Michael Taylor. I am a change analyst within the REX Technical Design Authority. So today I'm going to be doing a brief demonstration on how to navigate through the pre-release in EMAR. This demonstration looks to build on those functionalities demonstrated in the November release, as Fiona mentioned, and I would recommend that you go and catch up on that guidance as well, and that recording can be found on the REC portal. Right, so let's jump straight in. So from the REC portal, you can select the REC documents, and you'll be taken to the screen that's on the presentation right here, and you'll then be able to follow through onto the release information. As you can see, there will be a link through to EMAR from there. So following that link, next slide please, Fiona, thank you very much. This will take you through to the pre-release landing page as demonstrated here. So from there, what you'll want to do is you'll want to click onto Explore Stream, and that will take you into the version of the REC exactly as it will be following the January 2022 release. So you can then explore the REC in the normal way, going through the artifacts. However, what we want to draw your attention to today is the compare configuration functions. This allows you to see what's changed in different versions of the REC. So at the top right hand side of the screen, you can see which configuration you're in. Following that link, you'll be into the January pre-release configuration. From here, you can drop down and you can switch to whichever configuration you like. However, what we want to see at the moment is the compare configuration. So we select compare configuration from the menu, and then you'll have a window pop up which will have all the available configurations for which you can compare against. If this box does not contain the stream that you are looking for, search with the asterisk or star in the search box, and this will bring up every available stream that you can view. Great, so once you've selected that, you click OK, and then you'll have to sort of follow that through and clicking next until it's fully loaded. And then you'll be presented with the all of the changes that have been made from each configuration. Great, so let's now show you this in practice. I'm going to just share my screen. Can we see that all right?
Yeah, that's up, Michael.
Sorry?
Yeah, we can see that.
Great, thanks, John. Okay, so for this demonstration, I am going through from the home page. So if you follow into the home page from EMAR, you'll come straight into the live version. You can tell this through the configuration up at the top right. This is the primary way whereby you can navigate through the different versions of the REC and the different function configurations. So hitting the drop down menu, you have this option here to switch. As I said, here you can open this up and it will present you with all the versions of the REC that you can view. As I mentioned earlier, if you need to see all of them, you just search star to bring up every available one. However, let's have a look at the compare configurations. So hitting the drop down menu again, we can see the option here for compare configuration, and you'll be presented with this window, and then we want to select the January pre-release. So hopefully this loads in time. If not, I do have one prepared earlier, but I think it's doing all right today. So yes, and then we want to just follow through and click next until it loads. So what we'll be presented with is all of the different all the changes in artifacts from the two versions of the REC. So this is what it will look like when you first land in it. And on the left hand side, you'll have an artifact by artifact view of what has changed. So initially, you can see what is the artifacts that are only in the current live version of the REC, or those that have been removed for the January pre-release. Then you also have the option to view all of the artifacts that have been added as part of the January pre-release. And then you have another option here where they are artifacts that are in both versions of the REC. However, there has been a change. So if you click on one of these, see here that we've got a side-by-side view showing, highlighting which parts of the clause have changed from version to version. I have been able to trigger the side-by-side comparison using this option on the right-hand side. So if the first time you load this up, it may come up with a single view like this. If you want to see it side by side, then just click on the option on the right-hand side. So whilst this view is very good for identifying individual changes, it's often much better and easier to see to see changes through the context of the whole schedule. So if we want to do that, we have to go up to this option here on Filter Artifacts on the top left, drop it down and select the Show Only in Modules. Here we'll get a view of the full schedule, showing which artifacts or clauses have changed. You also have an option here to click on to synchronize scrolling to make it a bit easier to navigate. Okay, so that's what I was hoping to show you today, and thank you very much. I think we'll be handing back over to Fiona now to go through some questions, but my colleague Neil will be doing a presentation on the changes to the data specification, which I encourage you to stay around for. But thank you very much.
Thank you, Michael. So that is over to you. If you have any questions relating to the January rec release that you would like to either ask the code manager or the energy theft tip-off service provider, please let us know. You can either raise your hand virtually, or as I said, you can put your questions into the chat box. Does anybody have any questions? Okay, I'm going to take that as everybody has all the information that they need. So with that, what we'll do then is move on to the next part of the drop-in session, where we are going to do, I believe that's my colleague Neil, you're going to take over from here to talk about the development work that is taking place in EMAR and the data specification.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Fiona. So just as noted at the start of the session, if any of you guys attended yesterday, we're basically running through the same presentation. So you won't be missing anything if you drop off, but if you'd like to stay and listen to me explain it again, then you are more than welcome. So if you should go to the next slide, please, Fiona. So basically, since go live in September, we've been looking to make changes to the way the data specification has been presented in EMAR and otherwise. In September and October, our main focus was fixing the immediate errors in the data rather than the presentation aspect of that. In November, we held a workshop on the data spec, seeking feedback on how we can improve the presentation and the usability. So there were two main themes that were identified. The first of which was customers wanted a machine readable format, and the second was improvements to the human readable format. On the machine readable side, we have released a familiar database in the form of an access database. At present, that is just for the legacy DTC files. A lot of you who have worked on the DTC will remember that there was an access database published. So we have updated that for the November release and corrected any errors as we've gone along. We'll be publishing that for the next release as well. And I think that was it for the machine readable stuff. Then moving into the human readable side, which is what I'm going to explain to you today. So within EMAR at the moment, we're populating this new format that you can see on screen. We're looking for this to be ready for the February release. So as you can see, it's quite familiar to legacy DTC and RGMA catalogs. On the left-hand side there, you can see the top half of a message and I'll walk you through this in email shortly. But you've got the title, the local reference and the legacy reference, the version number, and then a bit more information and some notes underneath that. And then you've got each of the scenario variants, and then the top right picture shows the sort of other half of the screen. So you've got the data items and they're linked to the respective data item definition pages, and then you've got the flow structure, which hopefully you'll find very familiar to the old formats. Alongside improvements to EMAR, we've been working on a downloadable HTML version of the catalogue. So if you could just go to the next slide, please, Fiona. So very similar to the EMAR format, except it's held in a single downloadable HTML format. So at the very top of the page, you'll see there's a list of the entire catalogue of message flows. Top right picture there just shows an example message flow, and then the bottom shows the example flow structure. I won't dwell on this too long because I'll take you through this as well. So I'm just going to share my screen now and take you through that on EMAR. Here we go. So hopefully everybody can see this now. If anybody could let me know if they can or can't see it, that'd be great.
Can see it, Neil.
Yes.
Thank you. So hopefully you're familiar with the screen on EMAR here. Obviously we've set up a sample folder with just the 2 files that we've uploaded in there so far. Obviously in time, all of the market messages will be available here. So we've got your MMO1 here, which is a D1. And the title information is the same here as it will be on the page. So you've got the local reference, the legacy reference, the version number, and also the title. Hopefully you can see there it's loaded significantly quicker than the current format. So this was in the presentation. So we've got title information, description, legacy reference, version number, any flow notes. Then moving down into the scenario variants, obviously this is a DTC file, so the scenario variants are all the same at the moment. If we were to look at an RGMA file where the scenario variants are slightly different depending on the source and the target, we would have different formats listed on this page, but for sample purpose, we've just got a DTC flow here. So if you're an electricity supplier, you'd be looking for SV002 if you were sending this file to an electricity mem, but as we know, the DTC files are all the same. So moving down, we've got the data items table. So this contains all of the data items that are present in the MMO1 D1 flow. And as you can see here, they're hyperlinked. So if you wanted to know the definition of an MPAN core J3, you can click on it and it will take you through to that page. Very similar layout to the market messages with a reference and a title, description, legacy reference, data item owner, and then some characteristics of the data item. So an MPAN is 13 digits long. Obviously there's no decimal. Data item enumerations. So I'll show you this one in a second, but if the data item had any enumerations, so any valid set information encoded into it, then these would show up here. And then this also shows every market message that the item appears in. Obviously MPAN core is quite a common item, so there's quite a few data items, quite a few market messages that MPAN core appears in. Just a note on EMAR functionality. This back button here is probably not the best one to use. This will just kick you back to the flow, the message selection screen. So if you're looking at data items within a flow, we'd just advise using the browser button, and it'll take you back to where you were. So I believe site visit check code J24 has some enumerations. So we'll just go on to that now. Yeah, and as you can see, same layout, except in the data item enumerations table, it gives you all the or the values, and then the description of that value. So if you were to fill in 15 in the site visit check code, it's because the meter's stopped, or 22 because the meter's blocked. Any data item that's got enumerations will have this table filled in. If it's not filled in, then it's a safe assumption that there should be no enumerations for that data item. And then the same as mPan Core, this just lists each of the market messages that site visit check code is present in. So we'll just go back up to the top again, go back to the D1, and then I'll just show you the flow structure as well. As I mentioned a couple of times, hopefully this is quite a familiar layout for you guys. So this is the DTC group reference, also in the rec called the collection reference, the group description or the title of the group, the range, 1 being mandatory, star being many, so we can have this populated many times, but it has to be present at least once, and then a 0 signifying that it's a mandatory group, so it doesn't have to be populated at all, but it can be populated many times. Each of these are the data item levels, again, 1 being mandatory, 0 being optional. Data items, again, are linked down here. So if you didn't want to navigate from this menu, you can navigate to mPan Core from the flow structure. And then just one more thing, a C being that the data item is conditional, and then the conditional information is listed here. So the additional information data item is only mandatory if the reason for request data item doesn't provide sufficient information. So that's how the entire rec catalog will be looking once we've uploaded those. As I said, it's going to be live for the February release. So I'll just take you on to the next part of the human readable data spec that we've looked to improve, and it is this tab here, and this is the HTML version of the data spec. So it's a single HTML file, it's downloadable, and it will run from your machine. It's not hosted, so as you can see here, it's been downloaded and it's running from my laptop. All of the information from the rec data catalog is held on this page. And start from the top, we've got the message flows table. So if you know the ID that you're looking for, you can link it here. If you're not quite sure, you can Control F and search. So if I was searching for half hourly, see that that's probably not the best idea because there's a lot of half-hourly references, but you can see it brings up all of the half-hourly references. I think the one I used yesterday was priority services, which should bring back significantly less, maybe not. So just for argument's sake, you can search in here and it will search the entire rec data specification. So it might be a bit easier than searching through EMAR. So just as another example, again, we looked at the D1, so we can look at the D1 on this as well. So here we go. It will take you down the page to where the D1 is. Exactly the same format, except obviously the table's been transposed and it's left to right rather than up and down. It has the same information. The scenario variants are the same there. Your data item table with links to each of the data items, and then the flow structure. These data items are linked to the data items that are further down in the HTML document. Again, if you click on it, it'll take you to the data item. Some feedback we got yesterday was that this scenario variance table here was maybe not so useful. As long as we know which market messages the data items are within, then the scenario variance can be removed. And as you can see, mPan Core obviously has a lot of market messages, and then there's multiple scenario variants for each market message, so it's quite a list. So we're looking to remove that because it's sort of redundant information. Again, using the back button will take you back up to the flow that you were viewing. On the right hand side here, home will take you back to the top of the page. Market messages will just take you to the top of the market message table, and then data items will take you to the top of the data items table. Just have a quick scroll and see if I can find one that's got some enumerations. In fact, is it check code, didn't they? There we go. So the enumerations are also listed within the HTML file. I don't think there was a lot more to show you guys on that. Obviously happy to take questions or any sort of feedback that you've got on this. We're keen to make sure that it's as usable, as easy to use, and I want to say enjoyable. Maybe I enjoy looking at it, maybe maybe not, but yeah, we just want to make sure that you guys are happy with it and that it represents the best possible format for the data specification. So yeah, if you've got any questions or any feedback, we'd welcome those now.